If Detective Mark Kincaid, Patrick Dempsey, returns in Scream 7, he could be the perfect replacement for Officer Dewey's, David Arquette, character in the leading trio. Dewey is a beloved character throughout all the franchise's films in which he is featured. However, given that he was killed off in Scream 2022, the only remaining survivors in the central trio are Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell, and Gale Weathers, Courtney Cox. Scream 7's returning cast is already confirmed to include both of the aforementioned stars, in addition to the reports of Dempsey returning as well. In the chronological order of the Scream movies, Detective Kincaid first appears in the third film. He does not appear in the fourth, fifth, or sixth installments. He is mentioned in the fifth movie and is now Sidney's husband and the father of her 3 children. Given the frequency of his appearances, a Kincaid cameo won't seem like it came from out of the blue. What's more, the potential return of his character to the upcoming installment could even mean he will have a significant role in Scream 7. Mark Kincaid could be Scream 7's police officer if Patrick Dempsey returns. His returning role could help fight off Ghostface. Scream 3 Mark Kincaid talking to Sidney. In Scream 3, Mark is one of the detectives solving the case of the murders of another Ghostface killer. If he still is a detective, Mark could easily fill in the police officer role, but as a detective, of course. If he is not, there is still the potential for him to work as a detective in the story. Mark could use his connections in the field to help solve the murders of the Ghostface killer. His role or connections as a detective will then prove his necessary return to help Sidney in her next Ghostface battle in Scream 7. Unfortunately, Dempsey's return in Scream 7 is bad news for Sidney and him. Although Dewey is a police officer, Ghostface still murders him. This ending could easily happen to Mark in Scream 7 as well. If he is supposed to be the new member of the leading surviving trio, he could live to appear in another installment in the franchise. Then, he could continue to appear in future Scream films in a similar role as Dewey and use his law enforcement role to help fight off Ghostface with Sidney and Gale. Mark, being Sidney's husband, sets him up to replace Dewey in the main trio. He already has a connection to the main trio. Mark's marital connection to Sidney allows him to already have access to join the surviving trio in Scream 7. If he were a character that randomly came back for the 7th installment, it would not make as much sense for him to join the group. It would be possible. However, his predisposed connection makes his new role easier to obtain. He will also naturally want to help and protect Sidney as her husband, so Mark's place in the trio will naturally work well in Scream 7.